What is up, Cage Nation? It's Kevin Jackowitz here with the Cage Review. And I have a lot to catch up on. I haven't been able to post for the last day and a half, 2 days again. This time it was mainly because we went to a concert in Orlando, which is about a 2.5 hour drive. So we go up there, we stayed at the Hard Rock Live, and I did the Hard Rock Hotel Cafe, then went to Hard Rock Live for the concert. We toured around City Walk, and if you don't know what that is, just a really, really cool spot in Orlando in Universal Studios. And I got to tour like my old hometown and stuff. So yeah, I just have a lot of stuff I have to catch up on. Having said that, I'm gonna start with the Royal Rumble. And the reason I'm starting here instead of the concert is because there's a lot of pictures and videos I want to work through. So I'm going to grab my little notes here that I made for the Rumble as I watched it. I wanted to make sure I had, good train of thought while I'm doing it. So I'll set that right there, and let's start right off the bat with, they kick off the show with AJ Styles versus Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. And the match was kind of what I expected it to be. It was actually pretty good. AJ Styles, he can just sell anything in the ring. He's a really good performer. And so is Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. I think all three of these guys are really good in the ring. And, they told a pretty good story with the match. Some really, really good spots. And I love the fact that they were working out the angle with AJ Styles working over Kevin Owens' leg, so it's kind of almost down to one guy for a while. And even at the beginning of the match, though, when they were doing the typical, tagging in and out, like they were building up to, okay, this is overwhelming odds and stuff. Pretty good match. I'm really glad that they let AJ Styles walk away with it at the end. AJ gets the win. And it was a clean win, so that was cool. There wasn't any disqualifications or anything like that, so I really did like the fact that they did that and they ran with a clean win with AJ Styles, just showing how talented he is supposed to be. And for his ability, he should be one of the guys getting pushed. I mean, there were people talking in the show about how he's the Shawn Michaels of this generation, how he can just have a match and make it look good no matter what. And I have to agree. I really do. I think as far as personality goes, he definitely doesn't have the personality that Shawn Michaels did, but he can make anything look good in the ring against virtually any opponent, even terrible opponents. He can, at least make the match look decent. And so that's really cool. I think that's really a rarity in this industry. So, good starting match. I was actually pretty surprised that they started with the actual WWE Championship. But they did, and, I think it was a good start, honestly. I think it was probably the right decision. So then, second match is Chad Gable and Shelton Benjamin versus the Usos. And I was kind of disappointed in this match, only in that I wanted them to give Benjamin and Gable, at least a better build, as far as at least make it a competition. All four of these guys are really, really good in the ring. I really like the Usos. They've run their gimmick very well. And I think that Chad Gable is excellent in the ring. Shelton Benjamin's always been phenomenal. And so I just wish that they would have had it go out to 3 instead of a complete squash match in ways. Gable and Benjamin had some offense and stuff, but at the end of the day, I think going 2 and out made them look weak. And I think they could have been built up a little bit better, even if they lost, which I was fine with the Usos winning. I just would have liked to have seen it, make him look a little bit better. And Gable, I gotta say, every match he does, he pulls out some moves that I'm just like, all right, this guy's getting there. One of the things I really liked was the tiger suplex, where it locks the dude's arms and like kind of does the back bend suplex. Really, really cool. Yeah, I think if this guy gets a little bit more experience under his belt and gets some practice on the mic, he'll be really good. I do. I don't think I've even heard him on the mic yet, honestly. So I don't know how good he is or isn't. But yeah, Gable, I'm just waiting for something to happen with him. Like, the guy's got all the talent in the world. So, 30-man Royal Rumble is the next match. And I was really, really surprised that they put the 30-man Royal Rumble this early in the show. I thought they were going to do Rumbles back to back. You know, whether it be men first and women, or women first and then men, whatever. I figured they were going to save the two Rumbles for the end. But they put the first Rumble in right in the middle. And probably a good choice as far as pacing for the show. This Rumble, it was better than last year's, but last year's was absolutely horrible. So you don't have a whole lot to live up to there. At least this time they tried to make a couple of guest appearances, or surprise entrance, I should say. And the Hurricane come back, Helms, and that was just kind of, you know, a comedy entrant, you know, kind of a whatever, laughed off spot. And they brought back Rey Mysterio. That was a pretty big pop. Haven't seen Rey Mysterio in a while, and that was pretty exciting to see him back. And man, he looked really good, honestly. He's getting up there in age. I don't know what it is. I mean, he's got to be in his 40s for sure. And he's running around and doing all kind of, you know, same moves he's always pulled off. And really exciting to see him. So that was cool. I did like Mysterio coming back. And of course, he's not going to win, but hopefully that means that he's actually back in WWE and not just a one-time thing. Other than that, they really didn't have any other surprise entrants, which that's the one thing about the Rumbles lately is they're kind of disappointing with their surprise entrants. Like, I did like Mysterio. Like, they got that right. Definitely got that right. But I think for some of the other spots that were in this Rumble, they could have had at least one or two other, you know, surprise entrants that got a big pop. They don't really do that enough anymore, and they used to. Like, they were really good at it. Now it's just like, you know, they're feeding spots to Heath Slater and Titus O'Neil, and nobody cares, and everybody expects them to get knocked out right away, and of course that's what happens. So I wish they would quit wasting spots and make something good. So that's my thought on that. At the end of the match, Shinsuke Nakamura pulls out the win. I thought that was really good. Of course, it was Shinsuke and Roman Reigns, and everybody was afraid that they were going to give it to Roman Reigns again. I was too. I'm like, I didn't think they were going to, because they've done it twice and had the same reaction both times, where literally the next night the crowd was booing so loud they couldn't even do their show. So I'm really, really happy that they're hopefully learning at least that lesson. And Nakamura takes out Roman Reigns. He wins. He's going on to face AJ Styles. So that sets up a really, really good match for WrestleMania, or what you would expect to be a really, really good match at WrestleMania. Everybody's calling it a dream match. I don't know if it's necessarily a dream match for me, but these two guys are really good in the ring, and I do expect it to be a damn good match. So that's something to look forward to for WrestleMania. I think Royal Rumble set up a couple of matches here for WrestleMania that I'm looking forward to. I can actually get invested in WrestleMania. So kudos to WWE for at least doing that much. So the next match on here is Cesaro and Sheamus versus Jason Jordan and Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins just came back out of the Royal Rumble, and actually so did Cesaro and Sheamus. Sheamus was there very, very briefly. So there's a spot in this match early on where Jason Jordan's outside. He gets his head slammed into a pole, and oh my God, he's holding his head, and it hurts so bad. You know, they're doing that bit. And I guess they are really trying to build Jason Jordan up to be a heel now, because he's just getting that reaction from the crowd. So Seth Rollins is basically going at it alone against Cesaro and Sheamus, and of course the odds build up, and he can't do it. So toward the end of the match, Jason Jordan finally gets his butt up back on the apron, tags himself in, starts holding his head, act like he can't do anything, tags Seth Rollins back in right away, and goes down, sits on the steps, and then Cesaro and Sheamus take advantage with the double team on Seth Rollins, and they pick up the win, 4-time tag team champions. So new champs in the bar, and honestly I kind of like that. I think Cesaro is really, really good. He's not the greatest on the microphone, but he's really good in the ring. And Sheamus, you know, when he first came in, he was doing a lot more than he is now. He's working with injuries and stuff, and yeah, I get it. I mean, I give him all the credit in the world just for being there at this point. So I was not upset with the bar winning the tag championships for like the 4th time. I like Seth Rollins a hell of a lot. I think he's probably the best out of the 4, but as far as Jason Jordan goes, really good in the ring. I think him and Chad Gable were a great tag team. I think solo, he just doesn't have it. So, yeah, I think that was a good choice, and I'm sure that they're going to make Jordan go heel now and maybe establish a feud with Seth Rollins. So, next fight is Braun Strowman, Kane, and Brock Lesnar. And this is everything you would expect from these 3 guys. A lot of big, heavy hitting moves. A couple of spots with tables, and Brock Lesnar flipping over a table on Braun. And Braun gets right back up out of it not too much later. So they're building Braun up to be the perfect beast. At the end, Braun's on the apron. He gets knocked off. Brock Lesnar F5s Kane onto a steel chair, picks up the win. So Brock escapes, and Braun Strowman standing in the ring, still screaming, "You didn't pin me, you didn't beat me," things like that. So I'm sure that's going to lead up to something else here very soon. And then that leads up to what was, for me, the best part of the show, which, honestly, I wasn't really surprised. I figured going into the very first women's 30-woman Royal Rumble ever, they were going to try to pull out all the stops, and they did. They definitely tried to pull out all the stops. And the women's Royal Rumble is what every Royal Rumble should be. As far as guest spots and having interest in people, that you haven't seen in a while, actually come in and do something in the match and kind of make themselves relevant in the match. There was some really, really good spots here, and you started off with Sasha Banks and Becky Lynch, and I think that was very appropriate because Charlotte's the champion, so obviously she's not in the match. Alexa Bliss is the champion, she's not in the match, and these are 2 absolute trailblazers. So you had to go with the trailblazers you had left, and you instantly have to think of Sasha Banks when it comes to the Women's Revolution. Her and Charlotte back and forth with those matches, they broke barriers all over the place. So I was really excited that number 1 entrant was Sasha Banks. I think that was very cool. And then it didn't take very long for them to start getting into the guest characters that came in. Some of the Hall of Famers and stuff. They started right away with Lita, which I was excited for. I've always been a big fan of Lita, and You know, she can still move. And I'll say, when you look at the older women's wrestlers compared to the older men's wrestlers, the women can still move a hell of a lot better than most of the men their own age. You know, and I'm talking like 40s plus. I was really actually pretty surprised by a couple of women that came in and just tore it up. Molly Holly was another one that came in and was definitely still moving very, very well. Michelle McCool came in and she was kind of tripping up a little bit, and they gave her probably the longest spot of all the guest characters, and of course everybody's chanting Undertaker, and she had like 4 or 5 eliminations in the Rumble, and it's just like, you kind of get the feeling that that was because of the fact that she's Taker's wife. I mean, honestly, I hate to say that, but when you have Lita, Molly Holly, and Trish Stratus shows up at the end, and that's your longest guest character in the Rumble. But I mean, there were some really good spots, and of course Nia Jax comes in, and it's, you know, she starts throwing everybody over, and you knew everybody eventually was gonna team up and get her out of there, and of course that's what happened. It took a group of them to throw her over the top. So they finally get her over. And one thing I was kind of sad about was the fact that they bring the Bellas back, both of them, and I think it was like 27 and 28 respectively. Nikki comes out first and then Brie. And I've never been a Bella fan. Ever, 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 ever. I think when they first came in, they were nothing but eye candy. They could not wrestle at all. And both of them have gotten better. I mean, they've definitely tried to refine their craft as far as being good wrestlers, and I'll give them credit for that. But I've just never been a fan. Not ever. Their personality to me is like swallowing glass. And, I mean, they are the definition of the Divas division. So I'm not, you know, into that. And, you know, the last 2 people were Asuka and Nikki Bella, who hasn't been there forever. I mean, you know she's not going to stick around, so I think that they should have given that spot to someone else. I think Sasha Banks probably deserved it a hell of a lot more than either one of those 2. And speaking of, Sasha Banks being first entrant lasted until like maybe the 4th to last elimination. Yeah, it was the 4th to last because it was left off with both Bellas and then Asuka. And so the Bellas get rid of Sasha. Nikki gets rid of Brie. And then Asuka, of course, gets rid of Nikki. So Asuka wins the Royal Rumble. Very, very cool match. Had, like I said, had some really good spots in it. Had some really great, you know, really special guest character surprise pops in this Rumble match. And at the end of it all, you have Charlotte come in, you have Alexa Bliss come in, and Asuka standing in between the 2 of them because she's supposed to make a choice on who she's going to fight, which belt she's going for. And she never gets that far because they're interrupted and Ronda Rousey comes out. And holy God, did that place pop. Like, yeah, I don't think there were too many people that were expecting that. I mean, I know there was probably a lot of people, you know, that, you know, read the dirt sheets and the surprises and stuff. But there were a lot of people that were genuinely surprised when she came out. It was a really, really good pop. And so Ronda Rousey, she comes out. She looks at all 3 of the ladies in the ring. She goes to shake Asuka's hand. Asuka just knocks her hand out of the way, which I thought was perfect. I don't know if that was something that WWE scripted. If they did a good job for once. And if it was just something Asuka did, then that was perfect. So Ronda Rousey just does this little smirk and then she points to the WrestleMania sign. So apparently you have Asuka's definitely going to WrestleMania. We don't know who she's going to fight yet. Ronda Rousey is going to WrestleMania. We don't know who she's going to fight. And we know that Nakamura and AJ Styles is going to be the headline. So I think that it's already looking to be a pretty good card as far as what they have right now set in motion. I think it looks really, really, really good. So I'm pretty excited. I think that they did a lot of the right things this time for the Royal Rumble, which I haven't been able to say in probably the last 5 years. Really super excited. So, ladies and gentlemen, I think that overall this was a pretty damn good Rumble. The first Rumble match, it was good. I would have liked to have seen more surprise characters, and I do think there were too many wasted slots. Overall, I'd probably give this, I don't know, I'd probably give it like a high 7 or a low 8 out of 10 and I haven't given a score that high on anything they've done in a while. So I really was happy with this. I think they made a lot of the right decisions. AJ Styles needed to win. I think it was a good match. The Usos, I certainly was not sad to see them win. I would have liked to have seen Gable and Benjamin get over a little bit more, but at the end of the day, Usos should have won. Royal Rumble match, they did a lot of the right things. And even at the end, when you're looking at Royal Rumble and you're like, oh my God, Roman Reigns again, and Shinsuke Nakamura pulls out the win, you're like super excited for that. So they did the build-up pretty good. Cesaro and Sheamus deserve to win the belts again, so I was definitely happy about that. Get rid of Jason Jordan, find Seth Rollins a new partner if you have to. So that was good. Brock Lesnar needed to win. He should lose at WrestleMania. I think that's the way it should be. And then the Royal Rumble for the women was, definitely a highlight. And I would venture to say it's probably going to be a highlight of the year. Very, very good match. Very cool the way they did it. So ladies and gentlemen, that is my review of the Royal Rumble. If you have anything to add, if you liked it, tell me what you think in the comments. Tell me what you think of the Women's Royal Rumble, especially in the comments, since this is the first one ever. Do you think they went the right direction? Did you like the guest pops that we got? And, just give me some feedback, because I would really like to know what everybody else thinks about this. I was a big fan of it, actually. And if you like this review, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, and share. My name is Kevin Jackwitz, Cage Nation, out.